All right guys, now we're going to look at the sliding glass doors here. Now the first thing you can go ahead and check is make sure that it actually locks, and in fact this one doesn't, so we'll be writing that one up. But you want to check the lock, you want to make sure that this handle is not loose, it's nice and sturdy to the door. As you open the door left and right, these should slide nice and smoothly. You shouldn't have to put a whole lot of effort into it. You also want to listen for grinding. If you hear grinding on the bottom, that's usually the bearings on the wheels. Something else you want to do is take a look at the tracks down here and see how dirty they are or aren't. Now, if you slide this door around and it bounces a lot, you also want to look at the center of this track because those get dented in over time, and once that gets started, it never really stops. So on the outside of these doors as well, you're going to have a sliding screen door. This one doesn't even exist, so we're going to have to write that up, that we're going to need a new sliding screen door. And this door on the outside, there is a keyed lock on here, so we are going to check and make sure that we have the key for this lock, or that we change this out for a lock that does in fact have a key. And that's actually about it for the sliding glass doors. It's mostly just making sure that they're super smooth, making sure the track's clean, and that you don't hear any grinding. All right guys, so exterior doors, especially these front doors, these are kind of our bread and butter. There's so many things that go wrong with these, and we really have to do a super good inspection. So one of the things you want to do, and it's not just going to be on the front door, it's going to be on any door in this house that's a keyed entry, is you want to check the key that you have on every single lock. And in fact, right off the bat here, this key, okay, it turns the deadbolt, but it took quite a few tries to turn the deadbolt. It's catching a lot, so we're probably going to write this up to get replaced. In fact, I would bet they don't even have the code for this. And then of course, check it on all of the doorknobs. See, it actually doesn't work on this one. So right off the bat, I think what we're going to do is write this up and put some Quickset re-keyable locks on here. Once you've gotten that checked out, you open the door, go ahead and ring that doorbell. The doorbell does work. It doesn't work quite properly, but it does work. So now go ahead and look at just the general condition of the front of the door. As you can see, we've got quite a few scrapes and dings on this, so we'll see if we have any matching paint here at the house for later. And if we don't, then before we leave, we're going to take a paint sample from this door so we can purchase the matching paint and get that taken care of. Now down here, you want to make sure that your sweep and your weatherproofing is good. You want to come over here, your actual weather stripping all the way around the perimeter of this door. You want to look at it and make sure that it's not all chewed up and eaten away. You want to make sure that your threshold is solid. You also, I didn't mention this, you want to wiggle these doorknobs and deadbolts around just to make sure they're secure. You also want to make sure that when you turn this knob, that this latch retracts all the way. What happens over time, especially if people turn these too hard, is there's a bar in there that'll get bent, and slowly over time this latch will stop retracting until you eventually get to the point that from outside the house you can't retract the latch, and then you've got a tenant kicking a door in so that they can get inside, and that is definitely not good. Now, something else you want to check is your strike plates over here. And with your strike plates, for example, this one has oversized screws that don't really fit and they're sticking out, so we probably want to do something about that. You also want to make sure that as you open and close the door, that the latches go in smoothly to see if you need to get those strike plates adjusted. Now, if they do need to be adjusted, if they're not perfect, you can also come up here and look at the hinges. Oftentimes these start getting loose. This one is actually in really great shape, luckily, but if your strike plates aren't working right, check your hinges and make sure that those screws are tight on there. Come inside and shut the door. And the next thing you want to do is just look all the way around the perimeter, and you want to make sure that you don't see any light at all coming through that door. I can see the tiniest bit of light on the bottom, so we're going to write that up, but we are going to mention how minor it is because we may not do anything about that in particular. But this basically covers your door specific inspection. Now while you're here, you can check out the trim and stuff if you want, but we're going to be covering that when we do the walls and the ceilings and the floors. All right, guys, so we're in the laundry room now, so I can show you the door from the laundry room into the garage. And the reason I show this to you is for a few reasons. Number one, this is considered an exterior door, so you're going to treat this as far as inspection the same way as the front door. However, there's one additional thing going on with these, which is these doors that go into the garage, these are required to have self-closing hinges. Now, those bottom two are self-closing hinges. Somebody has replaced the top, however, as you can see, it's not self-closing, and that's because there's some pieces missing in here. So hopefully we can get these to work, but if we can't, we'll have to write this up and get some self-closing hinges put on. Otherwise, this door gets treated exactly like the front door. And we've got a nice bedroom door to start with right here. Now, there's not as much to say about these because obviously we're going to do all the same checks as with the exterior doors, with the exception of we don't have weather stripping, etc. But we're still going to check the hinges and make sure that they're on there tightly. One difference with these is you do want to make sure that your bedrooms and your bathrooms have bed and bath knobs. Now, bed and bath knobs are the ones that from inside the room somebody can easily lock and unlock, and from outside the room they can't easily lock and unlock it, but they do have a special tool to put through this hole in the case of emergencies and whatnot, or in case the door gets locked and then you walk out of the room. And then the final thing you want to check on these is when you shut them, of course, make sure everything latches well, but you also want to make sure oftentimes up around the top and the perimeter the door is going to rub on the frame, so you want to check your frame for rub marks and the top of the door for rub marks. And then finally, this is pretty obvious, this mirror was added by a tenant, I assume, so we're going to need to write it up to have the mirrors removed, the screw holes filled, which is going to mean painting over the screw holes, which is probably going to mean painting the entire surface of the door, but that basically covers the doors for us in this inspection process as far as the regular hinged doors. And then now we move to the closet doors. You've got two types. These are the bypass. You also have bifold. Now, we don't have any bifold doors in this house, but the inspection process is similar. You want to look at all the places that it connects to the house. You want to make sure it opens and closes smoothly. You don't have to know everything about figuring out what's wrong with the door. You just need to know that all the parts and pieces are present and that it works. Now, when it comes to these are actually in super nice shape. You want to look at the bottom and make sure your guide is in place and that it's solid. Oftentimes those guides are not there. Make sure you have your little shiny handles in here. Sometimes those are missing. When you slide this back and forth, you see how this one is just nice and smooth, real smooth. A lot of times what you'll get is it'll bounce around a lot. And when it bounces around a lot, that's because your rail up top is starting to get all dinged up, and every time you get a ding it bounces that door, so it comes down and makes more dings. These will go bad very fast. So while it's vacant and you're doing your inspection, if these aren't smooth, just go ahead and write them up for new head rails so that you can get them smooth. And then other than that, that's basically it for the doors. If you want, you can check to see, if the gaps on the sides are nice and even or not. And you do have to make sure they're in the right order. Somebody's made sure that these are relatively good. But that's basically it for your bypass doors. And like I said, the bifold doors, you'll know them when you see them and you can look them up. But you just got to make sure everything is smooth and attached tightly and functions as it's supposed to.